Hey everyone, we are back for another day of Advent of Code in Ruby. Advent of Code is a 25-day annual code challenge where they release new code challenges every day for every day in December. Every year I start to do it and then I lose motivation or I get distracted by work or other obligations and it's terrible. And this year I decided, hey, you know what? We're going to stream all this so that I have kind of an outside motivation to see it through. So we're going to see this through. As you see, we are already popping off. We got 6 stars. Pretty easy so far. No worries. We're on to day 4. We're doing this in Ruby because Ruby is a dope language and we need a larger community in Ruby, so let's just grow the community and just be awesome, right? So I have not looked at this yet outside of just opening up the window in preparation of the stream, so let's see what's going on here. Day 4, passport processing. You arrive in the airport only to realize that you grabbed your North Pole credentials instead of your passport. While these documents are extremely similar, North Pole credentials aren't issued by a country and therefore aren't actually valid documentation for travel in most of the world. That's just very sad for us. It seems like you're not the only one having problems, though. A very long line has formed for the automatic passport scanners, and the delay could upset your travel itinerary. Due to some questionable network security, you realized you might be able to solve both of these problems at the same time. That's a who. That sounds a little cringe. I think that we might be violating some rules here, some laws here. I don't know. Okay, so we're in the airport. We have the wrong credentials. We're traveling without a passport. I don't know what we're doing. That sounds really sketchy. Let's that's not okay. Um, but they fortunately the airport has bad network security, so we might be able to hack. That's a big yikes. The automatic passport scanners are slow because they're having trouble detecting which passports have all required fields. The expected fields are as follows. You have the birth year, you have the issue year, you have the expiration year, you have height, hair color, eye color, passport ID, and country ID. Passport data is validated in batch files. Your puzzle input. I can talk. Each passport is represented as a sequence of key::value pairs separated by spaces or new lines. Spaces or new lines. Okay, I guess passports are separated by blank lines. Okay, so our dividers can be really like any white space. They don't really mention tabs, but I think we can just generally assume that white space in general can be. We're going to be splitting on that. And then if we have a blank line, if we have exactly a blank line, then it's a different passport. Okay, here's an example containing 4 passports. Okay, this all checks out. The first passport is valid. All 8 fields are present. The second passport is invalid. It is missing height. The height field. Higgity? I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't think I'm expected to. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess these are all required. Okay, they're having trouble detecting which passports have all required fields. Okay, that checks out. The third passport is interesting. The only missing field is CID, so it looks like data from the North Pole credentials, not a passport at all. Surely nobody would mind if you made the system temporarily ignore missing CID fields. Treat this passport as valid. Oh, so we're just like replacing its like valid algorithm. That's super sketch. Ooh. What are they trying to advocate here? Normally we're trying to save Christmas, and now we're trying to break out of the North Pole. Good grief. According to the above rules, your improved system would report 2 valid passports. Count the number of valid passports, those that have all required fields. Treat SID as optional in your batch file. How many passports are valid? Okay, this sounds actually like insanely straightforward. Let's grab our puzzle input and see how ridiculously big this guy is. I think this would probably be actually like really tricky if you're working in like a language like C or something like that. Just because I'm gonna replace our input there. Leaking all my information. I usually pull the window off for this, but We're living a wild life this time. Just gonna drag and drop this guy. Yes. I wonder if this actually works with in my day-to-day I usually use Visual Studio Code with over SSH. Now I'm doing it with a VM and it lets me move that right in. I wonder if it does the same thing over SSH. I'll have to try that. Okay, so we got a big file here. I really need to look up documentation on how to get rid of this thing. That's just annoying. We don't need that, but we got a big guy here. We got a big guy. Let's get back to our rules here. Okay, so we're just counting valid passports. Okay, so we are going to be borrowing our input lines thing. So let's just copy over problem 1 from last time, because we're gonna steal our input lines function again, right? Actually, we might want to just steal our input lines from problem 2, because that one's actually a little nicer because it's memoized, right? We talked about memoization, where you write a method in such a way that if you call it multiple times, it doesn't do anything extra. It caches the value that it initially does. Why is this acting so weird? Oh, this is... No, wait, is this... I should have indented into... Okay, that's really weird. Let's turn down the music a little bit here. And in my ears. We want a little bit of a background here. Okay, cool. Okay, I think this is probably matching what I'm hearing in my ears. It's very hard to tell. Okay, so we talked about this last time. This variable basically stores whatever inputs line is called first time, because first time you call us underscore input lines is a nil value. We hit this begin block, which basically treats us all as one line, just groups these together. So we're going to do some work. We're going to open the file. We're going to read all the lines in, and we're going to chomp off the new line at the end of each line. Well, that's actually going to be really nice for this one, because we just need to check for an empty string line rather than looking for like new lines and stuff like that. That's nice. So anyway, the first time you run it, it stores all that in input lines and returns that. The second time, it says input lines or equals. Oh wait, input lines has a value, so it's not a false E value, so it'll just return input lines, and so this part will get short-circuited. Short-circuited? Id? Okay, I think everything else we're probably just going to throw away. We don't need any of this. Ripperoonie. Okay, what are we doing here? So we have our list of valid things. I think the first thing we want to do is we want to have an array where we're keeping our passports, right? And passports, they're kind of like a hash, right? They're a hash of BYR, IYR, EYR, HGT. Those will be our keys and our values, and we'll just check and see if like there's any like missing values there, right? That seems a pretty reasonable thing. Do we need to check if like there's any values that we're not looking for? I wonder if we care about that. Because it doesn't really say that, does it? Let's a passport is validated in batch files. Each passport is represented by a sequence of key value pairs separated by spaces or new lines. Passports are separated by blank lines. Okay. Here's an example. The automatic they're having trouble detecting which the expected fields are as follows. Okay. I guess what we can do is, for our first pass, we can see if there's any keys that we don't recognize and throw an exception if we run into any issues, just so we kind of like know if our input is sane or not. Because they don't really tell us what to do in that case. I kind of want to mark them as invalid, but I don't want to like get too crazy here, right? Okay, so this is so insanely easy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to be iterating over input lines. We're not doing a map because we're not turning this list into a different type of list. We're actually turning it into a hash. I think there's actually syntax to do this in a nicer way. I kind of wish that there actually was a nice syntax for turning list into hash, but I don't think that actually even matters here. Okay, so we're going to call this passports, passwords, passports, and we're going to, because we're taking an array of passports. And then we're going to have the concept of the current passport. Why do I keep on wanting to type password? That's like I don't know, it's some Freudian thing going on there, I think. Great. Okay. So actually just silly how easy this one is, I think. So every line is going to be kind of like this, right? Okay, so let's, for our first thing, we're going to cover the case where we have the dividing of a new passport, right? So if line empty, let's see if that's actually, is empty a thing in standard Ruby, or is that just a Railsism? If not, we're just going to test it against, okay, so we're just going to test against an actual literal empty string. In Rails, they have a lot of helpers that they add onto core methods, onto core types rather. So pretty much everything has empty and blank added onto them. Actually, does standard Ruby have blank nowadays? It's always hard for me to tell because sometimes core Ruby is just like, oh yeah, this thing that Rails is doing is really dope, so we're just gonna bring that into the core library. But that's not what happened here, and that's kind of surprising, just because this has been around for a billion years. I guess Matt's the guy who made Ruby isn't a fan of that thing, and that's fair. That's totally fair. We're not bringing active support into that. That's just for that. That'd be madness. That'd be crazy. We're not crazy people. We're just typing code on a Friday night for the people, living our best life. Okay, so if line equals empty string, we're gonna do some stuff here. We're gonna get some stuff done. We are going to append to the current passport onto our passports array, and we are going to passports. Oh, sorry. We're going to take our current passport and allocate a new empty hash to it. I think that it's pretty clear where we're going here. So everything else we're going to do, everything else, our else is going to be like, is just going to be parsing this and figuring out what we're going to be doing with this. And we can actually, I think this is a little nicer if we break this out into a different method, I think. I think that this can get like kind of messy if we just do it all in line here. So we're going to do process line. Well, this to be named. That's going to make everything like so long, but I think it's probably okay. Oh, this is actually kind of going to be kind of wonky, though. It's fine. Well, we also need to pass in the passports array as well. I'm just, oof. I wonder if there's a nicer way to do this. I feel like there's a nicer way with, like, inject shenanigans. I don't like persisting. The part that seems kind of weird, I was like, okay, well, we need to pass in the current passport, and we need to pass the current line. But I really hate the idea that we have to pass the passports array and also, ugh, that's no good. can maybe do this a little cleaner. It's probably less efficient, mind you, but it might be a little cleaner. If we transform like this, if we transform input lines into into arrays of strings, so we're not gonna like merge them yet. This might be okay. I don't know. We're gonna play around a little bit here. We are actually gonna map. Do we map? I'm trying to think what's like the really like. This doesn't feel like a clean solution to me. That's the thing. It's not pure because we're mutating a whole bunch of stuff. We're mutating two different things. We're mutating the current passport. We're also mutating the passport's array as well. Mutations generally, like, they don't feel clean. Usually you want to write Ruby and kind of like, it's object oriented, but also kind of functional. So you like you like pure functions a whole lot. This is actually funny because the problem isn't actually hard, but I'm just kind of like stumbling on how to do it in like the most clean way possible. It's very, very odd. I kind of only want to mutate one thing at a time. And I want this to be a map. I want this to... But this literally cannot be a map. Okay, so we're actually going to change this so... I don't know if this actually makes the world name better, thinking through this, because what we can do is we can do this. And we're just basically saying, hey, we're not going to parse the current line. You know where we can actually do this? We can break out functionality in line to keys. This is what we're going to do. Because I just didn't want everything to be in this function, because that feels kind of cringe to me. So we're going to keep that. We're going to do line to keys. And this part's actually super easy. So we're going to do current line, split on space. So in the case over here, we'll use this as our example line. So we have, once we split in space, this will be turned into like an array of ECL gray, PID this, error this, actually that, right? Okay. I don't know why I duplicated that. Each do, and then we're going to be keeping a hash here. And the hash is going to be our return value here. Line to hash, that's actually a better name for that, because that's literally what we're doing here. So we're going to take every pair. Every pair is a string separated by a colon, separated by two strings separated by a colon, right? So this is so easy. E value equals pair split on the colon. Because of the way that Ruby handles arrays being returned from any sort of function, this will be like array element 1, value will be array element 2. So that works exactly as you would think it would. And so we can just do hash e equals value. And then for our return, we just have hash. Okay, so this is not going to get too long here. I was concerned. I didn't want like all this parsing to happen here too. That just that didn't feel good, right? So we're gonna kind of like ignore the case that like it's possible that they could include the same field twice, and that would be kind of that would technically be invalid too, right? Passport merge hash line. So line to hash is going to return. I actually really hate the bang versions. So we're not editing it in line. We're going to assign it back to. Okay. It might be a little less efficient. I'm not sure about that. It probably is, but just I don't know. Merge bang. It just doesn't feel right to me. I try to avoid the bang forms of methods when I can, just because it's the same idea. I like things being kind of like pure. I don't like using unpure methods when I can. Um, the idea of purity in programming is basically the idea of that a function does not have any side effects. It takes in an argument, it returns something, it has no side effects. And that's just kind of like, it's nice because you know that it's not changing any outside state. It's not mutating its arguments, so it means that the program's a little more predictable. In the case of using merge bang, that probably actually doesn't really matter here. But I don't know. That's just like a weird personal preference of mine. It does mean that we're probably allocating like a whole other hash, so that's probably less than ideal. Also, per usual, I'm gonna double check that this is actually in in Ruby and not something that's a Railsism, right? Baz. Zap. Yeah, so everything gets merged in. If there's a conflict, I'm not sure which one takes precedence. I imagine that the incoming one wins. But we're just going to assume that everything's good here, right? Okay. We actually don't need a list of all the passports now, I'm realizing it, because we're just counting the valid ones, right? So what we actually just need is passport valid. We need some sort of passport counter, right? I feel like this is all like very sloppy today. I don't know why. I'm kind of off my game today. This is all very easy, and it's very weird that I've already spent 25 minutes on this. I think I just get slower when I stream, maybe. Valid passports equals 0. If this is a valid passport, we are going to increment it, right? Plus equals 1. Make that a little succinct. Okay, this is actually very clean. The only thing we need to do now is we need to implement passport valid, right? So we are going to have a list of acceptable keys here. And we can just steal this from over here. Birth year. Okay, so we're just... I don't know why the indentation isn't working right on here. Required fields, and we're gonna... CID is our optional field, so we're gonna have optional field as well. We'll keep it in an array, even though we only have one, because who knows what the next part's going to be. Maybe this will give us something for free later on. That'd be pretty cool. I like free. Free is good. So let's actually just do like we're gonna do a sanity check right now. I'm just gonna like throw an exception if we come across any keys that we don't know about. So how do we do that? We're gonna take our passport, keys, each do key. I think if I just provide one argument. Oh wait, no, because we're doing keys, that's just an array of keys. If I did passport each, it would have to be key value. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Um, no, how does array addition work? Okay, I always forget whether or not like it's gonna make like an array of A, B, C, and then the array of D within the same thing, or if it's just gonna be flattened. So I always like to check this. So we'll just required fields plus optional fields. Unless all fields include key. We're going to raise an exception here. We're going to say that key is unrecognized in that case. So we have not run this at all. If you've been following around our last few streams, we hit run like every 2 seconds, and we haven't so far. So this is quite unusual for us here. So let's hit this very hard. Ruby. Problem 1. Oh no, we're not even in the directory yet. Day 04. Ruby. Problem 1. Okay, so we've done some bad things here. We've been bad. Okay, so on line 12. Oh, because we're calling it current passport. Having this font so big makes me very sensitive about my variable names. I just want my variable names to be so short because I don't want it to run off the edge. Funny. Okay, so they don't throw any they don't hit us with anything weird here. Okay, cool. So we can keep the same structure. We can essentially ignore optional fields. That's actually not important here. And what we can do is we can actually change the structure here. Required fields. It's like friendly fields, right? Required fields. Unless passport return false unless passport key. So what we're doing is we're going through each of these required fields. We can actually comment that out. That's not actually valuable right now. It might become important later. Then we're going to return true. So what we're doing here is we're going through each of these required fields, and we're saying, hey, if the passport's missing any of you, just bail out and just say true, just say false rather. And if we actually get to the end, that means we pass all these, so we get to say true. There's a cleaner way to do this. Well, not a cleaner, but a prettier way to do this. Yeah, we're gonna do it the pretty way. We're gonna do it the pretty way because if you're not gonna do it pretty, why do you even bother? Why do you even bother waking up in the morning? Let me just validate and make sure that this method I want to do is actually. Okay, okay. So, okay, so this is even more succinct. This is going to hit all of the required fields and test each of them and say, hey, is password key a thing here? If it does, then we're cool and we return true. If not, if anything is false, then it returns false. So like with ABC, A returns true and then it's false because B doesn't match up. So if it's just one, it doesn't return A or anything like that. It returns true. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I actually really like how this is shaping up now. I didn't like how it was shaping up at first, but now I'm really happy with it. So let's just check and make sure that we're not doing anything weird here. We have this passports array. I don't think we're not using that, so let's get rid of that. Valid passport 0. If we hit a new line, oh, this actually brings up an interesting thing. Is the last line of my input a new line? It is, so we're okay there. Okay. So it actually, I don't need to worry about special casing the end. Perfect. Because otherwise we would, like, at the end need to say, hey, if, at the end we would have to be, hey, if current passport has stuff in it, if it's not an empty hash, we need to process it too. And that's just kind of like, it's kind of awkward to do. It's not a big deal, but it just like makes it a little messier. I'm glad they took care of us there. Okay, so we're adding up valid passports. Um, if it's valid, if it's an empty line, we clear out the passport and make a new one. Otherwise, we just look at our line and we sorry, I'm having a little bit of a hiccup here. We build up our passport with all of the keys there. I think we're in a good situation here. I think that the only thing we need to do now, we need to print out. We need to print out how many passports we got, right? That's all we have left. 200. That seems like a suspicious number. I don't like round numbers like that. Oh boy, there are not many valid passports. Okay, so we don't actually know the number of passports, right? We don't know the total number of passports because each of these are multiple lines. Okay. I wonder how many passports there actually are. It wouldn't be hard to figure that out. What is this problem 2 thing? That's probably from when I stole the code from that one. Let's actually just get an idea of how many total passports. So every time we clear out a passport, we are unconditionally going to +1, right? Valid. Ugh. Go away. Close that out. Total passports. Okay, let's hit this. Oh, okay, there's only 264 passports, so that's not a big deal. That's actually this is like literally a 1032 line file. 1032 divided by 234.0. So each one is roughly 3.9 lines long. I guess that makes sense with the new line because a lot of them are, because that would be including new line. Okay, cool. I think that we've beaten this to death for long enough. I think it's time to submit our number. Okay, so we're there. We hit this button and we see if we're going to have the timeout of shame. Because honestly, if that is wrong, I don't know what I could possibly do differently. But uh, it's possible. It's possible. We did terrible, and we're going to be really sad and ashamed of ourselves. But let's not live in shame. Let's not live in shame. Let's be brave. Let's hit submit. And we got a star. We got a star. We're feeling really good about ourselves right now. Victory. Our reign continues. This is amazing. Let's continue to part 2 and let's see what comes next. The line is moving more quickly now, but you overhear airport security talking about how passports with invalid data are getting through. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Better add some data validation quick. You can continue to ignore the SID field because we still want to be a terrible, terrible traveler acting against the law in every imaginable way. But each other field has strict rules about what values are valid for automatic validation. So, birth year has to be 4 digits, at least 1920, and at most 2002. Okay, so these all have like this is a number. This is a number validation. This is a number validation. Height is a number followed by cm or in. If cm, the number must be at least 150. So then it turns into a number validation. Okay, so this is like an example right here. That makes sense. Hair color is a number followed exactly by 6 characters, so basically a hex code. Okay, okay. Nerds using a hex code. Who actually knows like the hex code of their hair? That's what I actually want to know. That sounds very odd. I kind of have like a weird. Actually, I guess mine is like really weird because I'm an old man and I'm graying, so that's one factor. And I've always had weird hair. It's like a weird brownish, blondish, dirty blonde sort of thing. Very odd. Okay, eye color. The exact. Oh, okay. So this is an enum. Amb. Is that for like amber eyes? Amber eyes of grain. Blue, brown, gray, green, hazel, other. Okay. Passport ID is a 9-digit number, including leading zeros. Country ID. Ignored, missing or not. Okay, okay. So, okay, so we're now in the job. We're gonna fix this up. This should actually this is a little more fun, but this is actually super easy. What we're gonna do is instead of just having passport key field, we are going to have a method that's going to validate the individual field. Key value. And instead of doing required fields all, what we're going to do is we're actually going to inverse this. So we're going to be doing passport keys. We're going to do passport keys, and how do we want to do this? Because we do need to make sure that they still all have the thing. So maybe we keep this check here. So we're actually going to store that in a variable now. And we're going to short circuit out. Wired fields present. Do we actually need to store this? No, we don't need to store this. Return false unless this. So we're short-circuiting out. We're saying, hey, bail out if this happens. And we're just going to have true down here. So this actually kind of models what we were doing about 10 minutes earlier, right? So we're going to exit out of here. We're going to rerun this, and this will have the same values. Right, okay. So we're still looking good here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a second step where we're going to go through each key and make sure that it makes sense. Passport. Keys all. Oh, wait. No, we actually want to do... Actually, let me make sure the syntax works. I'm not sure if this does. I think it does, so. Let's make a silly hash. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Bar. See what this evaluates to. Very odd. So k equals foo, that should return true, right? Or k equals bar. Why is that false? That's very... No, because bar is my key, not... So I'm basically... I haven't actually used all on a hash before, so I'm trying to figure out like the exact arguments that we're talking about here. I could look at documentation, but documentation is lame. Who does that? So I'm just kind of poking around in console and seeing how it behaves. Okay, that's actually correct. So I was checking if foo and bar matchup. Foo bar is the value, not the key. So that's never going to be true. So okay. I think that I feel fairly confident that if I do passport all, we're going to have a key and we're going to have a value. And what did we call this? Valid field. Key value. And so we have a choice here. We can either do a big series of if-elses, or we can do a switch statement. I think I'm just going to do... I hate both of those, really. But it's fine. I think people just invented object-oriented programming because they hate the idea of nested ifs or switch case statements. I think that's actually true. What is this song? Well, I think we're skipping here. You can't even hear the song, I don't think. Barely. That's louder for me. Okay. It wasn't moving the bar. I have such little context on how like the audio actually sounds in person, so hopefully all the levels sound good. Just trying to keep things quiet enough so I can focus on the thing, and I don't want it blowing out me, obviously. I'm not like talking super loud here. Okay, so where were we? We're going to determine what's a valid field, right? So we have these rules. What is a switch case statement syntax in Ruby? I never use that, so maybe we get spicy here. Case when blah blah blah. Okay, that is fair. I think that actually is a good case key. When okay. I think that we got this. When fire value 4 digits. We might be able to abstract out this because these are the same things each time. Year between low high. String low high. Okay. Actually, we don't actually need to do... I'm being silly here. We don't actually need to do any weird, like, character counting because obviously 19... I wonder if they're going to try to screw us, though. Are they going to do anything where it's like... Why is my find key not bound? I fixed this on my other environment, but not here. Let's see if they have anything that's :0. Okay, so they're not trying anything tricky here. So I think that we can just cast this to integer in all these cases and just check if it's like lower or higher, right? That's something we can do. We can be a little lazy here. So this is going to be used a few times, so we're just doing the end casting once. Okay, so... $19.20 is less than that, and int value. These are less than or equals. Okay, so this is a pattern that we're going to see like a whole bunch of times here. When IR, we can just copy and paste this here. We can change out the numbers. 2010, 2020. This is actually just tedious now. At least there's a few that are a little different, so that might be a little more interesting. 2020, 2030. And for each of these, they're consistent at least or at most. So those are all or equals to. Okay. Height is going to be a little different. When HTT. Doing some validation here of how this actually works. Ooh. That actual syntax? No, that's not real syntax. Okay, that's real syntax, though. I think that you can take out a substring like this as well. Can you assign to this? You can. Okay, okay. That's what we're gonna do here. Suffix equals value. Hey Baka, yeah, we're back at it again. We're another day, another coding challenge. We're barreling through this. Okay, so for the height, it's gonna have a suffix of either centimeters or inches. So let's just calculate that by taking the last two items on the string. And then beyond that, we need to make sure that if it doesn't match either of those, return false. If suffix, we're gonna make a little array here. So we're gonna bail out. Yeah, Ruby. I'm a big fan of. I've been doing this for a long time. Most of my professional career's been Ruby, so I'm a big fan of it. Okay, so we're gonna take the end of the string, and if it's not centimeters or inches, we're just bailing out. We're going false here. Otherwise, we go on. What we do is we say, hey, value -2 to -1. We're just gonna chop that off. Actually, is there like a nicer way to do that? I don't like mutating so much. We have our test string hello CM. 0 to -2. Is that the offset? Nope, that's not the offset we want. 0 to -1. Negative offsets are always very weird to me. But yeah, okay, that works. Why is -1 offsetting by 2? Because what's stir -1? Oh, I already mutated that earlier. Okay, that's why it's seeming very weird. That's what we're looking for. Okay. So this will give us everything except for the last two characters. Okay, so quantity string is value. Actually, this is not a good variable name. Let's make this unit. That seems legit there. Okay, so value 0 to -3 will give us quantity. Return false unless quantity s matches the regular expression. Start a string, all decimal to end a string. The \a, that just says beginning of string. The \Z says till end of string. \D means, hey, we're looking at digits only, and the plus means we're just matching multiples. You might have seen elsewhere regular expressions using caret and $ to mark a beginning and end, but that actually has a double meaning in strings that have new lines. So generally, the \A and the \Z are considered to be a better way of doing that. Okay, so at this point, we've filtered out, okay, we know that we have a valid unit. We know that our everything else is purely numeric. So quantity equals quantity to I. And now we just do a range check like how we did over here. So, and it's actually different quantities based on whether it's inches or centimeters. If unit equals cm. The bounds that we're looking for are 150 through 193. Quantity, that seems alright. Okay. Else if unit equals inches, we'll just copy pasta this over. If it's inches, we're looking at 59 to 76. Perfect. We can just... This is actually going to evaluate to false if we tail off the end of this. So we actually don't need... I guess we can keep in this check, but it's not actually necessary because if the inches actually, or the inches centimeters thing doesn't match those exactly, it's just going to error. It's just going to return false. Because this expression returns false if it's neither centimeters nor inches. Otherwise, if it's inches, it evaluates to this statement, centimeters to that statement. Okay, let's do the next thing now. I thought this was going to be fun, but it just seems kind of more... That's not awesome. Okay, HCl. This one's actually so trivial. We can do a basic regular expression for that. Value matches. So we need... The first character has to be literally... Okay, so we'll start with our boundaries. Let me actually just double check that it's capital A and capital Z. I don't use regular expressions super often, so I could be wrong on that. Ruby. Oh, okay, so it wasn't actually. Okay, so Stack Overflow to the rescue. See, caret matches beginning of a line. And that's actually a shame because caret and dollar kind of like are more distinctive looking, so I like using those, but fortunately it's less good. A matches beginning of string. Z match. Okay, so it's actually lowercase z here, so let's be more correct. Because it doesn't really matter here because we stripped out all the new lines. But either way, let's be correct. Okay, so it needs to be a literal hash symbol, and then we're gonna have the character class. So it's either a numeric or lowercase a to f. So basically a hex digit, and we need exactly 6 of those. I think that's a valid regular expression for that, but let's actually test this out to make sure that I'm not like crazy here. So this should always fail, right? That makes sense. Okay, so let's do this one now. Let's do regex. That's true. That's a truthy value. It's returning 0 because that's like the index that it matches at. What else now? We'll throw in an A, and now if we turn that into a G, this fails. Back to A, we pass. If we add an extra character at the end, then it fails. Okay, I feel sufficiently good about this now. I feel sufficiently good that that regular expression does. ECL. Okay, so this is just an enum. Amp, blue, brn, gry, burn, hizzle, or of. Again, we're using the word quoter here. And what that does is it just turns all of the input into every space, all white space turns into word dividers. So this turns into an array of all these things as strings. Does this include value? Okay, we're almost through here now. PID, that one is a variant on the hex here. It's actually a simpler version of that. Actually, let me just make sure I'm not being crazy here. Okay. Okay, we're good, we're good. Sometimes I get confused because I'm like, okay, is it include or includes? Because those are both things that are used in Ruby. So sometimes the pluralization screws me up. And which one actually reads more like English? I'm not sure. They both kind of sound like English to me. Okay, so for this, we don't need a leading hash. Okay, so we don't need a leading hash. The 9-digit. And actually, it's just numbers, right? So we can actually use /d for that. Easy slap. When CID, we just want this to always return true because we are cheating sons of guns and we're breaking into the country. And for everything else, this should always return false. Boy, this is a long method. I hate long methods like this. I think we can dry up some of this syntax around the numerics because we kind of repeat that in a few different places. So what we can do is we can test that's entirely numeric. Turn false unless a. So now we're just matching all numbers. So we're not checking like that. We're not checking for leading 0 or anything like that. We're not being that persnickety, and that's fine. But if it's not like entirely numeric, like if there's like weird characters thrown in there, then we're not dealing with that. I'm trying to think. There's such a thing as ranges also, and that might be a little more succinct way to do this. Ruby standard library. What am I looking for? I'm looking for range class. Range. Where's the range type? This is very. I think it's in core actually. Core? No, core. Okay, so range. Here we go. Range. Maybe it has like just like include, right? Or include one. Okay, okay. This is what I'm looking for. So that's it's an inclusive include. Okay. So it's gonna be like a little bit of a more succinct way to write this out. We're gonna do low, high, include. Okay, this is gonna be much more pretty. Let's do number between 1920, 2002. Bye. We'll repeat this for Oh, I also need to include the string. Yeah. Okay. Almost made a note there. 2010, 2020, rip. 2020, 2030, and I don't think we need this anymore. Kill that off. That's not really relevant for the hex number check. It might be a bit prettier, or no, this is not the hex number check. We can do this on the quantity check, though. Unit CM. Number between 150. Quantity S. We can actually just keep quantity here because we're not making the separate variable. Quantity 150, 193. Else if in number between 9 and 76. Okay, this is perfect. And if neither of those pass, those should, but one of those should pass, definitely. If it gets to this point, and it's neither CM or IN, that's just very weird, but it's still gonna be falsy anyway, so we're good neither. Okay, HL, that we aren't gonna do anything with. Oh, did I not even? Oh, that would have been a big oopsie right there. Let's have PID is after ECL. I think the regular expression is good here because we don't need to check for an actual number. We're just checking if it looks like a number, right? SID is always true. That's always false. Okay, I'm okay with this. I think if I was writing this for real software, I would probably somehow like put each of these cases into its own method. Yeah, long case statements always just kind of feel bad when writing software, I think. Okay, so we're not going to just like generically return true. We're using the all, and this always returns something Boolean. I think we have, so if we have over 200, we know we did something wrong, because that's that's not what we're looking to do here. Let's test this out. Oh, no, actually, I'm dumb. You know what? I'm actually really dumb. I didn't save our problem 1. I didn't copy it over into a problem 2. I goofed here, guys. I'm sorry. That's actually really unfortunate. So let's just actually just name this move problem 1 to just problem. Oh, that's really embarrassing. Give me problem. Done with it. Okay, but anyway, this doesn't run right now, right? That file doesn't exist anymore. 77. Unexpected dot. Oh, I see the issue. So I did, instead of... I did comma instead of dot dot. That indicates a number range. I think if you do 3 dots, then it's non-exclusive range. Okay, we've lost some valid guys here. It's very sad. Rip to our brothers. Do we do this? Do we do this? Have we reached the precipice where we just trust that we are God programmers and we're going to first try this? Or are we going to have the shame of having to wait in purgatory? The purgatory of waiting for a timeout before we can submit again. Obviously, the answer is we just do it. We go strong, we go hard. Luck favors the bold. Ah! No, we did it wrong. Did it so wrong. Oh no, this is the first time we've been thwarted. This is very embarrassing. So where do we think we went wrong? This is actually I don't really have great context to know where we went awry here. I guess what we can do is we can take some valid passports. We can take we can substitute out input for some of their examples here and see if we can reproduce their results. So let's we're gonna move put input real. We're gonna make a new input text. Oh, very sad for us. Okay, so these are all invalid. So if we run the program, these should all complain Vicar mode. They're all invalid, so that's correct. Now let's try it with all valid ones. And validate our results here. That's actually no, that's not actually valid input, so that we can't actually use that. How do we investigate this? This is actually really perplexing. Let's we'll save this, but we'll move our input back over. I guess what we can do is we can throw in a breakpoint. And see how this goes, right? We can throw in a breakpoint and be like, hey, what's going on, dude? And inspect each field as they go through. That's going to be like super long and tedious, but I don't know of a better way. The way I wrote it, we are not in a great position to do a unit. So I think we can just... We know the issue has to be invalid field, right? We know that. We know that. I don't think that's going to immediately work, because I don't think I have binding price set up here. So let's see. Oh, so it probably errors out here, right? Yeah. Let me just look up real quick how to integrate in binding pry into a non-gem file. Pry. I can show you what I'm looking. Let me do binding pry though. Runtime invocation. Okay, so if I just install this gem, that should be fine, right? Wait a sec. The just installing some libraries so we can actually debug. Sounds like. Just do. I think we just do require pry, maybe, right? If this was a real project, I would be looking into setting up a gem file, which I've done before, and then using Bundler with this so we don't leak. But I've made this a VM specifically just for these coding challenges, so I don't really care if my gems leak. And by that I mean, like, if you have multiple projects using different versions of gems and stuff like that, it gets a little awkward. Let's see here. Okay, so this works as expected. So let's shrink that down and blow this up. So where are we with this? E value. Next. Wait a sec, I can't go next. Oh wait, can't escape from eval with next. I think we might need to have another okay. We need another gem. Oh no, oh no. What do we do? Kill it, kill it. Die! Okay. Gem install. Try nav. Sudo make me a sandwich. And while it's doing that, I'm gonna just and we're just actually let's even though this is not where we need to pry, we're gonna put that up there so that we're not stuck in a loop and we can just like get out of it really easy. Why are you being like that? Oh, they want us to use iBug instead, okay. That sounds familiar. Oh my god, I always forget to sudo. I'm used to not having root Ruby installed as root. Why is this happening? Well, if we want like an experience of like how it really is to be a software developer, I think we're getting into that right now. This is not POG, this is not amusing, but this is where we're at. Okay, so we don't have make installed. So we're just gonna apt-get install all that. And now we try this again. Oh, we don't have GCC, okay. Sudo apt-get install GCC. Usually I install Ruby from source using RVM, or probably not from source, but like with binaries and stuff. But in order for all that to work, you usually need to have all the usual build utils stuff installed. Also, to like install Rails in general, like usually you have C extensions that you need to have set up. This is kind of new for me. This is not my usual experience. That's interesting. Because usually I've already done all this. My God, get all the things. Get all the things. Stop dilly-dallying. I think we need some more. Let's go synth here. Let's get a little more hype here, I think. Because I think we need to raise the spirit with the fact we've encountered. I'm willing to bet it's something so dumb. It's going to take us like 2 seconds to figure out once we're in a debugger. We're just going to need to, but we'll hit the first example of why this isn't working. Oh my God, why are we so dumb? It'll be obvious and we'll feel like bad about ourselves, but then we'll brush ourselves off. On the plus side, the 1 minute timeout doesn't seem to really matter because it's taking much longer than that to get all this set up, right? So let's go. Well, let us install this time. That's actually the question. Okay. Okay, we installed the base thing. We're doing RI to install the documentation I'll never look at. I should probably just add that to my gem config to disable that. I know that's possible. I had to do that elsewhere because the RI step was actually erroring out in one of my work projects. So people were having a hard time just bundle installing, and that was a very sad scenario for everyone involved. Okay, so we're gonna hit this again really hard. Scrolling up. Why do you hate us so much? No. We did this wrong. We're actually using ByBug, right? So installation, bundle install. We just like require? I think we'll just do require pry ByBug because I feel like it should require pry if it needs it, right? Okay, we're good. We're good. Let's next. Next is doing what we want it to do. We're going to exit out. And that's perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab our binding pry and put it into valid. How does that work? Okay, so oh right, we can just comment that out and we'll go to town. Let's go. Let's go. So we're looking at key value. So this should be valid. Step in here. Actually, let's just run number between. I hope that like wherever it's erroring out is relatively early in the process. EYR. That's this. And that makes sense because that should be included in there. PID. At the end of here. Yeah, so that evaluates. True. I don't know if this is actually the best place for a break point. Do this actually instead, and we'll take out this. So that's true. So let's see if that should be true. We're back to our rules. BYR. EYR. EID. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to count characters. That's crazy. 9. HGT. Inches. Oh, centimeters. 158. That's valid. IYR. 2015. Valid. ECL. Burn. That's valid. Hash code looks valid. PID. We don't care about that. Okay, so let's hit the next case. Okay, so this one's false. Do we think it should be false? Take a look. Why is that just? It was displayed so nice last time. Why is it displayed weird now? Okay, well that's. So this one should definitely be bad because HCL is bad, right? Okay. Valid. IYR. IYR 2011. HGT. That's valid. HCL. That's valid. PID. I think that's valid. BYR. That looks valid. EYR. Great. Yeah. Okay. I wonder if we think that it's too low or it's too high. Are we laying something through that shouldn't be? I think that probably we're flagging something wrong that shouldn't be. wrong, right? That's more likely, right? Oh well, let's go through a few more, and then we'll look at maybe changing the binding here. Yeah, let's take another look at this. I kind of actually already hate that. Let's just make this we'll store that in a variable so we don't need to paste that in each time. A bunch of like stop processes. Just really tedious. You know what we can do? We can let's just test some. Let's just test each piece of these for like weird cases, right? Um, that's false, but that's true. That's true. Okay, that sounds reasonable. That's true. True. Okay. The number between, I feel pretty reasonable about this. The height is probably the diciest piece, right? 60 in. Value. Unit. Quantity. It could be that maybe there are small values of GHT. HGT, rather. What am I looking for here? Change this. A little easier. now. I think that it doesn't. In this case. Very frustrating. All of this, I think, is valid. All of this is still, I think. Take that out for now. I wonder if there's a way to actually just exit out the debugger entirely. Finish. Can that... I don't think there's a great way to just like exit out of this. I really hate doing this. I really wish they just had commanded this, like, hey, ignore binding prize for now on. I mean, I guess I could technically make logic that does that. I'm gonna take a step back and make sure that we have our old behavior proper, right? So let's shrink this down. What we could do is we could print out all valid passports and inspect and see like if there's anything weird with them. But for now, let's actually just this should give us our behavior from problem 1. And that does. So the problem is definitely in this section here. We can maybe like be verbose here, I guess. Just adding some debugging stuff here so we can kind of like see. I wonder if I just like screwed up writing down some of these requirements. Very possible, right? BYR 1920 to 2002, IYR 2010 to 2020, EYR 2020 2030, HGT PMIN, PM between seems between 150 and 193. In between 59 and 76. HGL is a hex code. ECL. Yep, eye color. Passport ID, 9-digit number. I wonder if in country we always just treat as true. Okay, so we're gonna exit out that. App do. So the tap method, I talked about that before, and that's basically just a way of saying, hey, execute this block, but we're going to return the caller. So number between is still going to be returned from this, but it lets us inject a little block without like screwing up our logic flow too much. We can throw HGT into a method because I think that's going to make that a little. I kind of wanted to do the same way, so that's fine. We're keeping the value is not a great variable name, but we're going to hold on to it because it means I don't need to rewrite. Bool. What are the constraints here? Or 59 inches, 70. I feel like the time I'm putting into this is like more than what. Oh, is key actually not the right thing? I want value for each of these. That's a big old monka. We can actually add. We can wrap this up a little bit more. So. I'm realizing I actually kind of like want value and spec to be in there instead. Debug. Label value. Cool. Label. Value inspect. I think that might be helpful. Cool. We can do this instead here. Do Just adding some debugging statements to find out what the heck went wrong here. I guess we've been lucky being perfect every time so far, but you know, we knew that this was going to end at some point. Very frustrating because I know it's got to be like the most trivial thing. It's like an off by one thing, you know. uh, it's going to be the most trivial thing, and we're going to be sad. I actually think that the time I'm taking to put in all these debugging things, once the time we actually spend inside the debugging, I think is going to be less than the time I'm spending right now. Okay, so we got HTTP valid, so we can kill all these lines because those got moved into that new method. Right. Tap. Bool. Still very weird that that should have been indented. I don't know why the indentation isn't working here. HCL, this just needs to be X. Basic color code. Appdo. Bully bully. CL. Do I write out everything in the hex? Do I write out everything in the enum? I don't think I do. I'd be so shocked if that was actually the issue. Let me just look at those. Oh my god, this is where the error is! Oh no! Oh no, it's been here the whole time! No! 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 Oh god, this is just gonna work now. Oh no! Okay, we're gonna get a lot of debug values, but we're just gonna run this. It's 116. It's 100% 116. We know this. Oh my god. I said so many times, this is going to be the simplest thing. It's going to be like off by one, or it's going to be like one character wrong, and it was. Oh god. Or maybe I'm still wrong. Oh, good grief, Charlie Brown. What was that? We've been actually streaming. We actually spent like the last hour easily. I'm not going to look at the timestamps. I'm going to look at the timestamps after this. Definitely going to look at the timestamps after this. God. Oh god. I'm actually really curious. How long did we spend meandering that? Let's find the timestamp. We're gonna have this on mute. We're gonna be React Andy to ourselves. Very cringe. Okay, no. We need to actually back out. We need to go into our VODs. We're going infinite here. So, where did we go wrong here? Where did we go wrong? So at this point we were going through. We were still on V1 of this. Okay, at this point we were installing debugging tools. Okay. We're close to it. We're close to where we got sad. We're so close. We're so close. So close. What were we? like a number, right? Sid is always true. That's always false. Okay, I'm okay with this. I think if I was writing this for real software, I would probably somehow like put each of these. Okay, we skip ahead a little bit. Skip ahead. I think we have so we if we have over 200, we know we did something wrong because that's Oh, we're testing it out. We're about to be really sad. We're about to be really sad, chat. Oh god, no. We're fixing those errors. Oh god, this is where we rip to our brothers. We gripped it and ripped it. At 111, and now it is 153. So that actually that's nearly 40 minutes meandering because we just missed a one character thing. If anyone tells you that writing software is sometimes not the most tedious and very frustrating thing, if anyone says that never happens, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. So all you kids who want to go into computer science just because you want to make stacks of money, run away. Don't do it because you're gonna end up like me. You're gonna end up sad on a Friday night writing code and missing one character and just being really sad about it. That's my advice to all of you. Just be hobos. Just like live on the streets. Don't have careers. Don't do this. Don't try to be successful. Who does that? That's dumb. No, actually no. Stay in school, learn programming. Programming is awesome because you know what? When we suffer defeats like this, and then we find the solution, we have an elation that's unlike any in this world. There's nothing that makes you feel so smart as realizing how dumb you were 20 minutes ago, and that is what we did here. I think that we had educational moments, and I'm glad we were able to make it through. I was starting to get worried that we would not find the one character error that would send us into disarray and dismay and sadness. But we're here. We've done it. And I'm proud of all of us that we've made it through. So thank you so much. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back tomorrow doing this again because this is what we do. We do not get on the mat and cry and weep our losses. What we do is we get back up. We get up, we throw on our gloves again, and we start punching because that's how boxing works. I'm pretty sure. I've never seen a boxing match, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Okay, so thank you so much for hanging out, and we're gonna be back tomorrow, and we're gonna be back the day after, and the day after that, and the day after that, because we keep going. The world keeps spinning, and I'm rambling now, and I'm out of things to say. So we're just gonna hit the end stream. We're gonna play some music and take us out. So thank you so much for hanging out. Goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow. Follow the Discord. It gives a loud at to everyone saying, "Hey, we're doing stream stuff. Hang out, have fun." Okay.